The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have wrapped up joint practices with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're heading into the final preseason game before roster cuts. And yeah, while we have a pretty good idea of what this roster is going to look like, there could still be 5 surprises in terms of roster cuts that we kind of didn't expect when things are all said and done. I'm Evan Winter with A to Z Sports. Let's go ahead and break it down. But first, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's keep this train rolling. Before we dive in, got to get a little bit of a preface, a little bit of a caveat in, and that's with me understanding that, yes, there's a lot of roster mechanics that go into this, right? Just because a guy is cut doesn't mean it's the end of the world. They could fall on the practice squad. If veterans, oftentimes they'll do a kind of a handshake deal with a team where, hey, we're going to let you go right now, but we're going to bring you back in a few days after we're done making a couple other moves. There's also the new short-term IR designation where a team can place 2 guys before cuts, or on cut day, rather, I should say, on short-term IR in order to avoid the whole having to release them, then bring them back and put them on IR, that whole stuff. So there are a couple guys that are on this list with injuries that could obviously play into everything. But in terms of just simply getting cut, these 5 guys definitely stand out in terms of surprises. And we're going to start with number 1, and that's quarterback Jake Browning. And look, this is the byproduct of Jalon Daniels, right? But ultimately, if you would have told somebody before training camp started that Jalon Daniels would make this serious of a run, not many people would have believed you. I, for one, I'm just going to toot my own horn here. I've been on the Jalon Daniels bus since mandatory minicamp when he was just drawing rave reviews from the coaching staff. So this isn't a huge surprise to me, but it is a surprise to see a UDFA rookie potentially pass a soon-to-be 4th-year quarterback who started 10 games in the NFL whenever, again, we're talking about a UDFA rookie. And so Jake Browning, though, overall, just hasn't been able to show enough of what he can do in as real of a football setting as it gets in the preseason. You know, he wasn't very effective against the Chiefs. Now, granted, he was getting just blasted on every other play. The protection was not holding up, so on and so forth. But still, to see Jalon Daniels rise like this, it's, again, at this point, it wouldn't be a total just, whoa, oh my God, surprise, shock if Jake Browning were to get cut. But just to see it actually come to fruition would be surprising in a good way as well. But when you look at Jake Browning's contract as well, and we've talked about this on the show before, but it still bears worth mentioning, he's got over $187,000 roster bonus if he's on the team week 1. He's got over $167,000 in playtime incentives. And then he's only got about a $1.15 million base salary. The Bucs can net positive over $500,000 if he's released, which is good for them. They only have to eat about $400,000 in dead cap. Overall, his contract is a very fluid situation that largely depends on his performance. So the Buccaneers, if they let him go, he'll have to go through waivers. He's only accrued 3 seasons. And odds are he probably doesn't land with a team, but still, that risk would be a far less risk than putting Jalon Daniels through waivers, because a team is probably going to pick him up. I would be willing to bet they do. Still, Jake Browning, if he does not play well this weekend, then there's a great chance he could get cut. And like I said, not many people saw that coming at the start of training camp. So number 2 would have to be Christian Roseboom, the veteran linebacker who was brought in to provide some depth behind Alex Anzalone, and whoever the starter is beside him looks like it's going to be Josiah Trotter. And that's just simply because Christian Roseboom hasn't been on the field, both in practice or in preseason games. He missed mandatory minicamp. Now, granted, that was due to the birth of his child, and that's totally understandable, totally reasonable. He still wasn't there, though. We just got to look at it from an objective point of view. And then he hasn't practiced or played since the sessions leading up to the Jets game. He didn't play in the Jets preseason game, and he has not played since. We don't know exactly what the injury is. Todd Bowles was asked about him yesterday by Fox Sports' Greg Auman, and he said he doesn't think Christian Roseboom needs to be on short-term IR to start the season, but he hopes he can trend towards week 1 status. And man, at this point, you just don't know what Christian Roseboom can give you. He hasn't been on the field to show you. So, and Servassier Dennis is hurt too. So, but Servassier Dennis has 3 years of experience in this system. He's got thousands of snaps. Well, maybe not that many, but close underneath Todd Bowles, and they know what he can do. So they can kind of played a little differently with Saracia Dennis and became Christian Roseboom. And then when you look at the guys behind him, and John Bullock, Nick Jackson, Caden Fordham, all of those guys have flashed, and they've been showing the Buccaneers what they can do on defense. So it's like, do you go with the devil you know or the devil you don't know? And Christian Roseboom, again, just like Jake Browning, is on a low salary. It's not going to be a lot if he gets cut in terms of penalties and dead money, all that other stuff. And again, if he's just not on the field, and look, football cliches are cliches, right? And I try to stray away from them as much as possible. But the best availability or the best ability is availability. It's just that simple. And Christian Roseboom hasn't been available. So if he can't show the Buccaneers what he can do and he's still hurt going into roster cuts, I mean, man, I think the decision is pretty clear. And that would be a surprise because he was expected to come in and be like that LB3, LB4, that veteran depth that can help step in and maybe even help with Josiah Trotter's learning curve, plug Christian Roseboom in the plays that maybe Josiah Trotter just isn't quite there yet. So, yeah, it would be a bit of surprise to see Christian Roseboom get cut, but ultimately he's on the field. Like I said, the writing's kind of on the wall ultimately. So, like I said, a couple of these guys have been dealing with injuries, and the next one, just like Roseboom, is dealing with an injury as well. That's Justin Skule. He hasn't practiced. He didn't play in the Chiefs game. And the Buccaneers, we've talked about this. It looked like for a while they were going to carry 2 tackles on the 53-man roster, but Justin Skule's not available. And this all relates to the quarterback room, right? If the Buccaneers carry 3 quarterbacks, that severely alters the rest of the depth chart math in any position. But still, like Roseboom, just hasn't been practicing. Now he has been practicing more, but as of late, he hasn't been on the field. And so if Benjamin Chukwuma is showing the progress and development that he's shown and can stay with that against the Jaguars on Friday night, if Todd Bowles plays him, obviously, which I think he will, then Buccaneers might just say, hey, Justin, we loved you, or we love you. We missed you last year, obviously. We've said that publicly. But at the same time, we've got to make the best decision for this team. And that doesn't involve you being on the 53-man roster. Again, they could do the veteran handshake type deal where they bring him back after a few moves and figure some things out. He might start the season on short-term IR. We don't know. But the point remains clear is that if Justin Skule doesn't play Friday night, there's a chance that he could get cut. And again, the surprise in all of that would be for the longest time there. And if you even look at Jenna Lane's latest roster projection that she put out earlier in the week, she had Justin Skule making the team. So it wasn't unfathomable for the Buccaneers to carry 2 tackles on this roster going into the season. But that might not happen if Justin Skule can't go on Friday against the Jaguars. And then last but not least, I'm going to just combine these 2 guys together. And again, it's all about roster math, right? So Demarion Pepe Williams and even Josh Hayes, they could very well get cut this weekend. And that would be a surprise because Demarion Pepe Williams has played pretty well during the preseason. He's shown out in training camp, from time to time. He's flashed a lot, and the coaching staff likes him a lot and what he can do. And then Josh Hayes, while he's not a great corner, and I'm just with all due respect, he's a bad corner. He's a very good special teams player that's logged a lot of special team snaps over, the course of his time in Tampa Bay. So this all comes down to roster math, right? The Buccaneers already have 5 cornerbacks in Zion McCollum, Benjamin Morrison, who looks like he's healthy, but still don't know if he's going to play Friday night. And then you've got Jacob Parrish, you've got Keontae Scott, and then you've got Aiden Garnes. So one of these 2 guys, I don't see the Buccaneers carrying 7 corners on this roster, especially with their questionable safety depth. And again, the third quarterback possibility. So 6 spots, 2 guys fighting for that 1 spot. I mean, one of these guys could definitely get cut, and that would be a surprise because they have shown value to this team overall. Personally, I hope Pepe makes a team because he's played his butt off, has worked his tail off, and he's flashed, like I said earlier, but just remains to be seen. So what do you think? Am I way off the mark here? Do you think these guys could very well get cut? Would it be a surprise to you? Please let me know. I'd love to talk about in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button. But until next time, keep your eyes on A to Z Sports Bucs, and we'll see you around.